Good evening, Michigan. Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritzman here. Happy Easter on this Sunday, the 20th of April. This is a quick forecast update for your evening, considering all things for severe weather, a little bit of rain-snow mix, and then what to look forward to for the rest of your week upcoming here as we end April, coming up soon. So starting off today, we're going to look at our Skycam, or I guess you could say your satellite view across Michigan. As the sun goes down here, clouds starting to fill in across the state. You can see our system moving in from Iowa and Illinois. Higher cloud tops down there in the bottom left corner for some showers and thunderstorm action. And then we have a little bit of prefrontal showers and thunderstorms moving in through central Michigan right now. Looking into our forecast for temperatures throughout the week off the GFS run, it's going to be a rather warm and around average type of week out there with temperatures in the 50s. And we're going to go day by day by looking at this GFS run. Again, each model is a little bit different, but GFS is the one that goes out the longest here, so it's the one that we'll use for all 7 days coming up this week. Starting with today, as you can see, temperatures in the high 50s out there away from the lake. If you have an easterly wind and you're near Lake Huron today, obviously it's going to be a little bit colder. And that continues into tomorrow, or I should say overnight tonight. Warm air excels in while the low pressure moves off to the north tomorrow. Temperatures in the low to mid 60s there across portions of southeast Michigan. Could get close to 70 there, even near Detroit, Port Huron, while the rest of the state deals with temperatures in the 40s and 30s as the backside of the low swings through. Then we move into Tuesday. Not much relief there. As you can see, temperatures across the state starting out pretty cold. A little bit of a rebound for southern Michigan with temperatures up into the mid 60s, but as soon as you go north of Grand Rapids, north of Lansing there, your temperatures dwindle significantly with that warm front / stationary front sitting right along that M46 corridor. Then we move into Wednesday. Temperatures start to rebound even more for the entirety of the state with temperatures in the 70s possible across much of southern Michigan. You could see even some 60s and even a 70-degree temperature out by Menominee in the UP. Then as we move into our Thursday time frame, it gets colder overnight again. Overnight temperatures starting to get a little bit warmer out there. Unfortunately, we cannot talk about last frost yet. That'll be sometime in May. As you can see, we work into Thursday here. Temperatures are going to be well into the the low 70s with 60s possible elsewhere across the state. And then as we move into Friday, another cold front swings through there. Starts out rather warm, and then as we get into the evening going into Saturday, 30s come in. But it'll be short-lived throughout the weekend there. As you can see, temperatures in the 40s on Saturday perhaps, maybe even some 50s. And then as we get into Sunday, temperatures rebound once again up into the 60s. So that is your temperature outlook for the week to start. Now we have to talk about precipitation over the next coming hours. Starting with this first system here, moving in tonight, obviously some showers and thunderstorms along these fronts here in southern Michigan. But we also are going to be looking into the UP here as we actually have a chance of snow possible for the western UP. Keweenaw Peninsula, Porcupine Mountains up there. Temperatures will be dropping into the low 30s, even the high 20s overnight as some cold air gets evicted down from Canada. And that snow and rain will be moving through overnight and into the day tomorrow before moving out completely by around midnight tomorrow night. Some leftover lake effect snow showers possible up there in the eastern part of the UP and perhaps extreme northern Michigan up near Atlanta, Alpena, and other surrounding cities. And as we move out into your Tuesday time frame, it should be rather clear. Moving over to our HRRR run measure of most unstable cape, we can see that there is going to be a little bit of that kind of sitting up there in the higher altitude levels there across southern Michigan and central Michigan. If you hover over this here, you can see joules per kilogram, so that's your instability there. Values up around 500, 600 in spots. Moving it forward into the east side of the state, some of that kind of dwindles, kind of stays a little bit put. And a lot of that cape will be out of the region by the afternoon hours tomorrow. So not too great of a chance for these storms to become surface-based. As a reminder, surface-based storms are more severe than elevated storms. But because we still have a chance for elevated storm, if we go ahead and click on a sounding here, look at the skew T on the left side of the screen, that measurement of cape between that dashed line and that red line shows us that there is a potential for some marginally severe weather, perhaps some small hail mixed in. And that's what we decided to do. We decided to put out a limited risk, which is a level 1 out of 6 risk for only just hail. Moving it forward into the severe hail outlook, which is part of this severe weather outlook, you can see just a 1 to 4.9 chance of some severe hail happening. So there's a 95 to 99% chance that it doesn't. Elsewhere in the gray there, you can see a less than 1% chance, so low but not zero. Severe wind and tornado outlook less than 1% anywhere you see that gray on the east side of the state as well. So again, any severe risk overnight tonight into tomorrow will be confined to the east side of the state primarily, and it'll be just a hail risk. Again, these cells do have some instability up there in the higher levels of the atmosphere, but it's not enough to really get things going into a full-blown severe event. So 99% of you guys, as we mentioned on our page earlier today, will likely not see any severe weather from this system. Talking about snowfall, though, and precipitation overall, we have a general idea that enough snow will fall during the colder periods overnight that we could see at least between 1 to 3 inches. Our WPC probability maps here show that there's a greater than 50% chance for places around the Porcupine Mountains, mainly the southern Porcupine Mountains and up into the Keweenaw Peninsula. So really nothing greater than 2 inches, maybe even 3 inches accumulating there. So as a result, we decided to put out our last call ice outlook, again with temperatures and that inversion on the forecast. We decided to put a glaze out there for some freezing rain, perhaps upwards of 0.02 to 0.03 inches of freezing rain, but again, that'll melt really quickly as temperatures rebound into the day on Tuesday. Snow forecast there, 1 to 3 inches in the western part of the UP, down by the southern half of the Porcupine Mountains, trace to 1 elsewhere, and then snow showers are possible all the way over towards Grand Marais and Munising there in the central UP. Backing it up further to our rainfall outlook, this system will be packing quite a punch in terms of rain, good for gardening, of course. It'll be a little dry down there in southeast Michigan, but as we move further up north into the state, you can see a half an inch to maybe a full inch of rain possible if you go north of Big Rapids up in the northern lower peninsula. And then as you get into the UP, a lot of that deformation zone from that rain is going to be accumulating in values of 1 to 1.5 inches. So a good soaker out there for portions of western UP and central UP and portions of downstate as well. And then finally looking at our wind forecast, unfortunately the wind has not given us too much of a break here. Had a couple of days where it's been kind of pleasant out there, but it's coming back. It's already starting out there, I guess you could say, tonight. And tomorrow we'll see it really peak as widespread wind gusts across the state will be in that purple 30 to 40 miles per hour. And then over the lake where friction is less of a factor, 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, especially up there by the Straits of Mackinac, Beaver Island, and portions of the eastern UP, as well as the Lake Huron shoreline near the Thumb and Alpena. Moving into we're also watching a system, I guess you could say, later into the midweek time frame. This does have a chance of producing severe weather mainly on the west side of Lake Michigan as this moves over into West Michigan itself, Central Michigan. Given the time frame it's supposed to move in, it'll be at night, and so likely another elevated storm threat, likely to produce some marginal hail. If we go ahead and click on a sounding here, we'll see rather quickly what it has to offer in the atmosphere. Rather moist atmosphere, as you can see, this entire profile is completely saturated, and there's a little bit of an inversion at the surface, so quite possibly have a few surface-based storms, but otherwise mostly elevated. Those lapse rates aren't great for hail. As you can see, the potential hazard type there. Obviously, we don't usually look at that. We got to look at the data down here, but if anything, it looks like it's going to be a very, very small hail event and not much of a damaging wind or tornado event for Wednesday. Again, that severe risk is going to be mainly across on the west side of the state. So with that being said, that is all to offer for your forecast today. Again, a limited risk of severe is possible overnight tonight into tomorrow for the east side of the state. Otherwise, it'll be a lot of rain that is much needed for drought alleviation, and perhaps, unfortunately, for the western UP, a little more snow to top off your winter snowfall totals up there. So with that being said, I'm Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritzmo. We'll see you next time here at Michigan Storm Chasers in another daily forecast video. Have a great rest of your Easter Sunday, everyone, and take care.